Right, so this is the Jaguar type seat in the classic car restoration series. This has had all the fibre binder put into it, as you know, in the last video. So what we're going to do now is we're going to apply the Flexi filler. So for that job, you're going to need the Flexi filler, some application spatulas, some 320 grit sandpaper because we need to sand down the fibre binder, and some alcohol because we just want to lightly wipe over the surface to remove any dust and things before we apply the Flexi filler. So let's just put these on one side for the time being. And what we're going to do first of all is we're going to lightly wipe over the surface with the 320 sandpaper. As you can see, 320 grit paper, and we're just going to lightly wipe that over the surface. All that's doing is just smoothing out where we've applied the fibre binder. So we're just going to wipe that over the surface to lightly sand that down to smooth that out, and that'll then level out the fibre binder off the top of the surface and get us a nice stable base again for applying the Flexi filler. You don't want to press very hard when you're sanding. It's just a very, very light sand because you don't want to obviously affect the grain structure of the leather itself. So just lightly sand over the surface. And swap the paper over to the other side. With all the softening cream that's gone into here, these are actually beautifully soft and supple and just like brand spanking new again. So I mean, it's done exactly what we've done throughout the whole series at the moment, which is obviously cleaning, removing the colour, applying all the softening cream, and then obviously we've gone to the next stage to clean that down and apply the fibre binder, and now we're on to the Flexi filler to fill in any of these fine cracks. The camera will probably be able to pick up the fine cracking that it can see on here. You can sort of see the very fine cracking. Some of these will probably be now filled with the fibre binder, which is what the purpose of that is to strengthen all that structure here that you see and bond all those back together again, giving you a really nice stable foundation to apply your colour, which is going to obviously be the next stages. So just give that another little sand down, and then I'm going to wipe that down with a drop of alcohol cleaner just to remove any dust particles before we apply the Flexi filler. So we've got one of our lint-free cloths and the alcohol cleaner. You don't want to soak this because you don't want to affect the fibre binder. So you just want to apply a small amount and just generally wipe that over the surface like that, just to remove any dust particles that are on there. You can see the dust coming off. Just very, very lightly over the surface. With it being a solvent-based product, it'll evaporate very, very quickly. So then what we need to do next is we just need to allow that to dry slightly, which is virtually dry now anyway. So it's, you know, with it being solvent, it dries very, very quickly, and that's nice and dry again. So the next stage is the Flexi filler. That is your Flexi filler. It's a white paste. It's very different to the heavy filler, which is designed for more sort of bigger holes and crevices. This is designed to go over very fine cracking, and it's a very, very, very fine paste, as you can clearly see. And you're just going to apply that with the spatula as follows to push that into any of the cracks. And you can see that going into the cracks now to fill those, as you can clearly see here. And we're just going to proceed to do that over this whole section that we've put the fibre binder onto. Less filler is more, because what you don't want to do is to be doing a great deal of sanding after you've applied the filler. So apply always in very, very, very small amounts to ensure that you're getting it into the actual offending areas correctly, and that you're not leaving chunks of filler on the surface, because that then becomes problematic to sand that down. You can clearly see there where it's going into all the cracks. Anything that it's not going into clearly has been filled with the fibre binder. It's not far off complete now, and you can leave that to naturally dry or speed that up with the hairdryer if you wished. And obviously once that's done, the next stage would be is to lightly sand that back, and we're going to then be on to the colouring stages in the classic car restoration series. It's just about got all of that applied in there to where we need it. Like I say, you don't want to go over applying this, because obviously the less sanding you do, the better the outcome's going to be, and obviously you're going to keep the leather looking extremely realistic with the less filler that's gone in there. Just going to swap to my smaller blade so that I can sort of get into areas very, very close. If you end up leaving ridges like this on the surface, you are going to find it very, very problematic, because this is quite a ridge here. It may look only very small, but once it's dried and you're trying to sand all these ridges here, they are actually quite problematic to sand out. So you just need to be careful that you don't over apply any filler that you use, whether it's the Flexi filler or the heavy filler. So it's certainly at the point where we're not going to be getting any more filler taking into this really. So I mean, that is at a stage where we can leave that to naturally dry, and once that's dried up, we can then do the next series, which is the colouring series in the classic car restoration series of videos. So that's the products that you're going to need. Is obviously your Flexi filler. We use the cloth to wipe down. We had the spatulas, and we had the alcohol cleaner as well. Thank you very much.